LoveHasNoLabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our
So I won't
homes
be here
in
next Sunday.
Arlington, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding
And we don't have
scale
a show
to determine your
Christmas,
financial
then
contribution,
Mark said
an
he'll
excellent
come in New
clinical
Year's
team,
Day.
and plenty of fun
Do a show
activities,
with us.
our homes are the perfect
You know what?
retirement
I might
choice.
try to see
Learn
if I
more
can
at
get New Year's Day.
veterans.nebraska.gov/homes.
Yeah.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their
Lives out in
communities in
California.
outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards Luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Got the air running today. Looks pretty good in here.
It does or doesn't?
It does.
Oh.
I mean, it's chilly.
Okay, kids, one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your
Is that
kids.
okay?
But
Make a face like it just smells something.
Okay, well, that's fine. It's
Visit
probably gonna blow right
fatherhood.gov.
You'd
Brought
probably
to you by
let
the
you
U.S.
touch it.
Department of Health and Human
Yeah.
Services and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM First, 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome in to the Fitness Fanatics. We are 2 weeks from Christmas.
That's
Is
crazy.
everybody ready for Christmas? 2 weeks from today is Christmas Day. Excited?
Sure. We've been too busy.
Do you have all of our Christmas shopping done?
Would you know?
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh.
I have a couple things done.
Well, our kids both have jobs, and I mean, we should be getting some good gifts this year from our kids.
I know what one of your gifts is
Oh,
from our kids, but do you not know? For me?
nobody said anything to me.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
I
fine.
don't know.
Anyway, it's hard once your kids get older. Like they just buy everything that they need. So this is a tough year.
Yeah, they do. They both have jobs. They just buy. I mean,
What they want,
our
they buy
son bought an Xbox with his own money.
Yeah.
I mean, they do whatever. So anyway, 2 weeks away from Christmas. Hopefully you are excited. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited. So
We've been too busy.
I know it's been
It'll
a busy.
be like
yes.
we got to get through next week. This next week.
Yes. Oh, we
Maybe
are.
mid next week. I'll
We already have a
pivot.
texter already texting in cheeseburgers on the
Oh.
text line. Good morning. Good morning, cheeseburger. We're getting ready to recap our 10-week party. So we'll be talking about you here coming up.
Yep.
All right. So we just wrapped
Cheeseburger
up.
was there.
Yes, we just wrapped up the 10-week challenge. Gave away our $1,000 winner. $1,000 winner was Kane Olson from our Yankee Ridge location. He
Mhm.
attended the 5 a.m. class. He will be in studio next Sunday to talk about his journey and his big transformation. So we already had a guest lined up for today. We got a great motivational speaker that is going to be joining us from California. Dave Kovar, somebody that's good friends with Lance Farrell, who started all of Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, somebody that Nicole met a few years ago at one of the Farrell's extravaganzas. So we're looking forward to that. Dave will be with us for 90 minutes. So coming up about 9:30. He's out on the West Coast, so he's up nice and early.
I have a feeling he gets up early anyway.
Like us.
Mm-hmm.
We're early risers.
Yeah, I feel like he is too.
We can't sleep in this morning.
We got to sleep. We slept in like an hour for us.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I got woken up by our dog kind of barking at me to let them outside.
Yeah.
So that's how I got up this morning. But it was almost 6 a.m. So that's pretty late for us. So,
It is.
but anyway, so yeah, we had our 10-week challenge party out at Rosie's on Friday night.
Harrison had to work, so he couldn't make it.
Yeah, he had to do basketball games, so he wasn't able to come out. But
yeah, it was a bummer.
I
But,
know.
it was fun.
It was. It was fun.
It was fun. So Aaron Davis, we had a bunch of ticket listeners do the challenge, which we have for the last couple sessions, but we had some pretty prominent texters that we only know them by their text name. So when Aaron Davis got there, I was introducing him to all the texters.
Yep.
And he was just, I mean, everybody was just loved it. Like he had his championship ring out, taking selfies, pictures with, I'd be like, oh, this is so-and-so. And he's just,
This is rubber ducky.
Oh my gosh, it's rubber ducky. It's cheeseburger. It's
pecan pie.
Oh, and he just was like, AD was like a kid in a candy store. Like, you know, so it's just cool to put faces to names and stuff. So we took a big picture with kind of the ticket, everybody, or the people that had signed up from the ticket. When Mark was there, and so it's just pretty cool. We have a picture we'll post on our Instagram, so we'll also post it on Twitter and tag some people that so you guys can see it. But it was fun, always a fun time.
We've wrapped up a fit challenge, and Mark walked away a winner.
Yes, Mark won
for that.
He won $150. He had the biggest change in body fat percentage
for the men for the challenge. Yep.
Yes. So he got some cash there, and then he also won a gift card to Fleet Feet for $15.
He did.
So yeah, so it was another awesome challenge. The great thing about Farrell's for Nicole and I is you know, I couldn't imagine owning a gym where you just
don't have a party.
People just started anytime. Like that's all they ever did. Because for us, it's so cool because we just wrapped up a challenge where we saw some amazing changes. People's lives are changed. Very amazing health benefits from people, you know, losing fat, losing weight, building muscle. And then it wraps up and it's like, oh, this is so sad. It's over. But we get to do it again. Every 4 times a year. Our next challenge starts January 7th. We already have over 100 people signed up to do the winter challenge. So we're hoping we can get some more so we can give out $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to Biggest Transformations. So the amount of money we give out is determined on how many enrollments we have. So, but yeah, it's good. It's going good. So that happened. Also, Saturday was our final class at the Pioneers Gym. We did which Cheeseburger was participated in this.
Yep, all 2 hours.
All 2 hours, yes. It's something we used to do pre-COVID when the gyms shut down and we had, you know, our 6-foot rule limit and capacity issues. Every 10 weeks we would do kind of what we call the last chance workout, where we in Altoona we had 4-hour classes. In Lincoln we had 3-hour workouts. So we had it on the Saturday of week 9. We have like 7, 8, 9 different instructors. Just a kind of a goal we set for people at the start of the 10 weeks. Now, Harrison, can you picture we're doing kickboxing for 3 hours?
My feet would hurt. I've already had instances where like my top of my foot started bleeding because I'm kicking it. Like, you know, when you don't have like any calluses early, I can't imagine 3 hours.
Yeah. It's tough. I'm very sore from 2 hours yesterday.
It'd be a good workout. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
it's been a while.
Yeah. I burned over 1,000 calories, which is a lot for me.
Well, and so
super sore. My shoulders are sore today.
Yeah, from all the
it's not something you want to do. It's like a marathon, you know, you kind of train, and then it's like marathon day.
Yeah, and we'd have people in the past who are like,
it's not something you should do every day.
You're not
all the time.
doing level 10 for 3 hours.
Yeah.
No. So I compare it to like you run a mile. You know, I can run a mile in 8 minutes, right? But when I do a half marathon, I don't do 8 minutes sprint miles for 13 miles. You kind of take your time, you pace yourself, and we have fun. So
yeah, it was fun.
It was cool for you know, for the members to get different instructors that they might not have. You know, like I know for Cheeseburger that was there Saturday, all those instructors, he may have had one.
Chris.
Yeah. Everybody else was brand new. So you get different flavor, different techniques, different things that they like to do, you know, and that type of thing. So that was pretty fun. So we're just also being in the middle of a move. We spent all day yesterday after the 10-week party, Friday night up till midnight, classes in the morning, moving the gyms, which we still are not done yet. We got some things to do. We're getting close though.
We're not getting close.
Yeah,
we are not
you
close.
have to think positive.
I know. We have so much time. We don't have to think positive yet. We have a week. So.
Well, we do, but
it's not close. We're not close. Both gyms, Pioneers and Meadow Lane, just look like a shambles right now, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. I think we're getting close.
Okay.
Are you done with the mirrors?
Yeah, mirrors are done.
Mirrors
there
are
you
done.
go. That's nice. That's
the mirrors are up and good. That was the big one. Like, hopefully we don't break mirrors. And so,
mirrors are done.
Yeah.
Mats are laid out. I mean, all the big stuff is moved over.
Yeah, that's true.
And I can't think of a worse thing as an adult.
Moving.
Moving.
We talked about this when Harrison moved.
Moving is like
ugh.
The worst.
Especially like right now, like you said, all the big stuff has been moved.
That's the easy part.
I know. And then each of us went to Pioneers separately today for stuff. And you walk in and there's just stuff everywhere. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
I know.
I'm exhausted just looking at everything.
But
We have
it'll be
some
good.
time. Yeah.
We'll be good. We'll watch a little football today. Our son is a big Ravens fan.
It's a big day in our house.
Ravens
for
are playing the
football.
Steelers, and he has just been very nervous about this game for weeks.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We don't have to dive into NFL, but the Ravens they're tough right now.
It's a big
without Lamar.
rivalry.
Well, but it's funny. I think maybe the Ravens might have the better quarterback still, since Cody Pickett's on the other side, right? So it's a kind of an even quarterback battle.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Tyler Huntley started like 7 or 8 games, so he's
he was
he's
the quarterback last year.
He's a pretty capable backup.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about anything this weekend. We're done. No worries.
Us we have our whiteboard on our fridge, and the Packers and Bears have been moved to the eliminated spot.
Moving up in the draft, though.
Yes.
That's right. Even though we're not technically eliminated, we kind of are.
Yeah.
So our son has moved the teams to the eliminated.
We're not even in the win bracket anymore. The win column.
Yeah, his team is at the 8-win mark. Yeah. And he has like 18, and then he has divisional, conference champion, Super Bowl, so going up the run. But so he's pretty nervous. So we'll watch a little bit of football today, and then probably spend a few hours still moving some little stuff and try to get the rest of the Pioneers gym cleaned up, so we can focus on our move to Meadow Lane. So we're going to be closed. The Pioneers gym is closed for the rest of all of next week. So this next week is going to be, we're kind of going a little blast to the past where we only have to run one gym. So it's going to be kind of weird.
Cheeseburger texted.
What's he say? Okay, so he told me.
So Cheeseburger
go ahead.
Got called in for work.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Thursday. He was at the gym to work out, and he got called in. He had to go back out to work, and then got only a couple hours of sleep, but still got his Friday workout in, and then did the 2 hours on Saturday.
Yeah, and he also went to the wrong Rosie's.
Yeah, he did.
And made his wife go.
Who's been on the show? His wife has been on the show, not on our show, but on the ticket.
So she's
talking about girls wrestling.
Yes. So made her walk downtown to, so he kind of had heard about that a little bit, but he made his way out. So, but anyway, what else we got? About 10 more minutes here. Anything
we can
else
talk about. We had an anniversary this past week that's football adjacent.
Yeah, we had an anniversary. Nicole and I have, so it kind of ties into sports. So December 7th, 1996, we went on our first date together. It's 26 years ago.
Now, the only reason we remember that date, the only reason you remember that date, what did you do the day of our date?
December 7th, 1996.
How old were you, Harrison?
He wasn't even born.
You weren't born yet? When were you born?
99.
99. Okay. I couldn't remember if you were born around like when I graduated. Yeah. Okay.
So Harrison wasn't even around. But on December 7th, 1996, now for Husker fans, you're going to remember this. So Nebraska.
Only the really old ones.
I guess. Now the younger ones might be shocked when I say this, but Nebraska had actually just won 2 national championships in a row. Like not games. Like now we celebrate when they win 2 games in a row. It's like an accomplishment. So back then they had just came off winning 2 national championships. Really should have been 3, but we won't go into that. So in 96, they went into the Big 12 championship game. They were playing Texas. This was the first year that the Big 12 was formed.
It was?
Yeah. First year of the Big 12 was 96. And they played Texas. Nebraska was 21-point favorites
I didn't know that either.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't
Oh, I
have
know all this.
anything to do with football, college football before we met.
Yeah, so Nebraska was 21-point favorites, and I remember there was an article. So I know, and Nicole hates it when I know.
I love the fact that we're talking about our first date and it's all.
Well, we're getting
football.
there.
I know it's fine. No,
we're
I'm just
laying
kidding.
the
It's fine.
foundation.
I know it's fine.
But
I'm learning things. I've learned 2 new things so far.
Friday night, I couldn't even remember who was on our show 5 days earlier. I was talking to Pecan Pie out at the party, and I was like, he thought. I was just like,
we hadn't
okay.
listened to last week.
And he was like, oh, who'd you have on? And I literally couldn't remember. But what I can remember is that the quarterback of Texas in that game was James Brown.
This past week was kind of a blur.
And he said, we're going to beat Nebraska by 21 points. So I had cut out this newspaper article. I was 18, right? I cut out the newspaper article. And after the game, I was going to just mail it down to Austin.
Just
right?
to Austin?
Just to attention James Brown, right? So anyway, Nebraska lost the game.
What was the score?
I don't really remember the score.
96.
I just remember that it was like 4th and inches, and Texas was going for it on 4th down, and they completed some pass to tight end. He ran like 50 yards, and that's kind of ended the game. But so we were close. But I mean, how fair? They had Ricky Williams and Priest Holmes were their running backs. Like, how fair is that?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So
who'd we have?
Amon Green,
right?
Yeah. And we had Amon Green, Scott Frost.
I knew that
team
actually
was it was a good
27-37.
Okay, so it was a close game. They scored.
It was close with that score.
Yeah, they scored late to get it to a 2-possession game. So it was under 2 minutes, and it was 4th and 1. And we're like, oh, they're going for it, and it was just.
Yeah, we had 3 points in the 4th quarter to their 14.
Oof.
So
so it was close. So anyway, that kind of started the hatred to Texas. Was that game right there. So anyway, I went over to my buddy's house. I actually burned the newspaper article, threw it in the fire, just burned it up. I was just, and back then when Nebraska lost, you were distraught. I mean, you're
still distraught.
No, it was a huge deal. So anybody listening that's a Nebraska fan that was around back then, I mean, it was like life and death.
I'm actually surprised you didn't cancel the date.
Well, so that was in the afternoon. And then we went on our date, that first date that night. So one of the first things we talked about, actually, when we got in the car, I was so distraught. The very first thing I said was that Nebraska lost today. She's like, who's that? I don't even know what's going on.
We didn't really know each other. It was kind of a blind date.
Yeah,
too.
kind of a blind date.
Yeah, we had met at church, but we hadn't really talked beyond the first phone conversation when you asked me out on the date. So we really were getting to know each other.
Well, when I asked you out on the date, the game hadn't been played yet.
Right. Well, obviously.
I was feeling pretty good. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We're going to win. So that was the first thing we talked about. And then I kind of sucked her into being a Husker fan because, Harrison, after our first date, Nebraska did not lose a game until after we were married. So they won the bowl game. And then this shows what a really good boyfriend I was. Or maybe I was trying to make a good impression, but I never miss a Husker game. Like if something
that was false advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
If something is planned when Nebraska's playing, I'm not going. So don't get
why
married.
Is that?
Because we have 36 hours a year.
We haven't talked about that stat.
36 hours to watch Nebraska football. That's all we have.
That is a low number.
That
is you gotta soak it in. You gotta soak it
right.
in.
36 hours. So don't plan something while there's a game on. So anyway, they played Virginia Tech in the Orange Bowl, and she had some New Year's Eve party at her friend's house. And I went.
I'll post a picture on Instagram of that party. I have a picture of me and you, and everyone can see your unibrow. It's also a very popular picture because everyone loves to see your unibrow. That. Yeah.
But I went, and we had the game on in the basement, in the basement of the house, and so it was on at the time. But still, like, I didn't watch it with any other family, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go and then they didn't lose a game.
I'm really surprised actually about that.
Well, no, I was trying to get you to like me.
I know. It's only been like 2-3 weeks or whatever. When was the bowl game?
And let's just say I didn't have girls lined around the block to go out with me.
We did not go to the same school. That would have changed the trajectory of
Yes.
our relationship.
And those that have
Say.
listened to the show know my just amazing sports accolades and how I was like the gym class MVP every year. Like just I tore it up in gym class. And yeah, she's like, if we would have went to high school, we never would have went out because I was the type of boy back then
that took gym class too
she
seriously.
would just not have been interested
No.
in at all. So yeah, that's I was trying to win her over and missed the game, and then they just won every game, won the national championship '97. She's like, wow, this is great. Yeah, I'm gonna be a big Husker fan.
That they didn't lose. I mean, we got married in 1998,
Yeah.
but that is crazy that they didn't lose a game.
No, didn't lose a game until we were married.
Yeah.
Guys are
Amazing.
spoiled.
I know, we got
you got
spoiled.
so lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, you deserve it. You're still fans now. As long as you don't
know.
revoke your fandom.
No,
it's worth
no.
it.
You can't.
Yeah, you never can.
No.
Even if you want to.
Because it wouldn't matter. We all go through it.
Well, and you're still a Bears fan. They haven't done anything since you've been around.
Yeah, it's always so funny. I always tell people it's like I wasn't like always hardcore NFL fan, so I liked the Bears for a while when I was younger. They played the Colts in the Super Bowl. They lost. Then I got to around like 12. I kind of stopped caring.
12.
Yeah, and then I got older around like I don't know, maybe like 4 years ago. I got really back into it, and I'm like, how are we exactly the same when I left? Like we haven't gotten any better at all.
No,
it's the same.
Despite your massive turnover in quarterbacks in that same amount of time.
Yeah, we probably lead the NFL in quarterback turnover.
How is that not
the Bears and the
accidentally
Browns?
better?
Yeah, I would give it the Browns.
But so that's you pick your team, and that's just who your team. But yeah, she kind of got sucked into it, and
Yep,
it's a good ride for a while.
I know.
Yeah. Now she's It's just is what it is. But
yeah,
hope springs eternal. Just like coming up New Year's 2023.
Yep,
we're hopeful. We got our New Year's resolutions. Hopefully, one of them for you guys is to start some type of workout program. So I know just the place for that.
Right.
It's Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Over 100 people are going to be starting January 7th to change their lives and hopefully win $1,000 for a few of them. So you can go to fxblincoln.com, check us out, hit me up if you need some more information. We'll be talking a lot about that here in a couple weeks. Mark should be down. He's getting close to
97 pounds.
He's getting close to that 100-pound mark. So we'll be bringing him in here. I think probably New Year's Day for our show. We will not have a show on Christmas Day. We don't want to make anybody from the ticket come in. So everybody needs to take the day off. Next week, we'll have our $1,000 winner and win Nicole. I will not be here. I will be in Iowa to see my mom for Christmas. So I don't see her very much. So Nicole gets out of that because of the radio show.
Not that we have a lot going on.
We
got
do.
to fit. The new gym opens the next day, and we'll have lots of little things that someone needs to stay.
Get tidied up and stuff like that.
It's the first one I've ever missed. I've never missed a Christmas.
So
stop throwing me under the bus.
So Mark is listening and he said 98 and a half pounds, but who's counting?
Okay. Nice.
So he's getting close.
Just on Friday, I thought he said 97. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I know he's already weighed himself 3 more times since then, or 2 more
I
times.
think Mark probably.
And he was very disciplined at our party. He was drinking water, and he was still there when we left.
I wonder if Mark gets up and weighs himself in the morning and then goes to the bathroom and then weighs himself again. Like
probably, I don't know.
Can I squeeze out like 0.3 of a pound?
That is gross.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
You would if we had a scale at home.
I used to do it all the time. Yeah. All right.
All right. So that's a great way to end this segment.
Yes. So now Dave's probably listening. He's like, what the heck show am I going to get on right now? So, all right. Well, so we're going to be back with Dave Kovar here after the break. So hang out with us, 93.7 The Ticket on the Fitness Fanatics.
Holiday wishes really do come true. Through January 4th, 2023, when you enter any non-winning Nebraska lottery, $1 Holiday Wishes 2X, $5 Holiday Wishes 10X, or $10 Holiday Wishes 20X scratch ticket, you have a chance to win $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000. There are 2 drawings for winners, so visit your nearest Nebraska lottery retailer today, buy some tickets, and enter our Holiday Wishes Second Chance promotion. Top prize odds vary by game.
Do you carry that hockey stick with you everywhere you go?
Yep, it's my lucky hockey stick. I scored 5 goals in one game with this baby.
And you have to bring it into the convenience store?
How else would I get this bag of chips to the counter? Or point to the Nebraska Lottery scratch games I want to buy?
I suppose you scratch the tickets with it too?
No, that would be weird.
Nebraska Lottery scratch games. Play is good. Go play. Odds vary by game.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. We are 2 weeks away from Christmas, 3 weeks away from New Year's. So we thought it would be appropriate to have somebody join the show to get us fired up motivated for 2023? Because it's always new year, new me. Right, Nicole?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to let Nicole introduce our guest. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Yep. So today's guest, we have Dave Kovar. He's an 8th degree black belt and known as a teacher of teachers. I know, Dave, you have a program where you provide resources and training mostly for martial arts studios, I think, but a lot of your content is so relatable just to anybody. I love your social media content about, motivation and dedication and stuff like that. So good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Right, Harrison, you did it. We got our guest.
No more troubleshooting.
I know,
if
you
those days are
promised.
over.
I know. Sometimes we have technical difficulties, so it's always like holding our breath until the guest says the first word. So, but yes, thanks for joining us, Dave. Hopefully that was a good, quick little intro to you. But why don't you let us know, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and,
So I'm like a lifetime martial artist. That's what it's interesting. Of course, fitness is such an important part of that. And by the way, just so you know, man, I brought this out. I'm sporting my extreme body shaping bag here that Lance gave me a few years back. Thought I'd bring that out.
Yep, I was there whenever you spoke at that one. I was there. So
okay, very cool.
You said something that stuck with me. We'll talk about it later. But go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my family was living in Montana in the mid 60s, and I saw a silhouette of a guy doing a flying sidekick, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And back then, like, kids just didn't do martial arts. It was considered not the right thing for them. And so it took my older brother going away to school, and then in the early coming back saying, hey man, you got to let Dave do this. And so in the early 70s, I started martial arts, and I've never looked back. So this is still my hobby. And, when I was younger, I did a lot of competing, and it was like martial arts first, and fitness second, and health third. And as I aged, that's all shifted. So for me, it's a complete lifestyle. It's health, fitness, martial arts. And that's because if I want to do what I love, then I've got to be able to make sure that I stay healthy and fit. So it's interesting how, as you mature, how your perspective on fitness changes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that from what we see, people coming in to do ferals, people a lot of times come from an athletic background, and then that goes away, and then the other two things are kind of sacrificed too. So we definitely see that too. But you chose martial arts, which is something that you can really kind of grow with as you get older too. So sometimes it's like our people who played high school, college, whatever, and now they're in their 40s and they're like, oh, now what?
We have so many people that they're like, oh, I used to. And I'm like, we all have our used tos.
Yes.
We were all young at one point. We could do things that we can't do now. So yes, we have to kind of change our thinking and realize we're not 18, we're not 21. So yeah.
Well, that's why what you do is so important, because, you give people their youth back. How many times have I worked, because we're extremely, fitness focused as well. I had some guy came in that's 40 years old, that played football in high school and got out of high school, maybe went to college, anyway, got a job, family stress, and all of a sudden they find themselves, pre-diabetic, and they come in and, I know you guys have seen it time and time again, where you've given them their life back, literally. And the key thing with that age group is you have to go, hey, buddy, like you said, you're not 18 anymore. And because what's going to happen is that particular person is going to go way too hard, and they're going to hurt themselves in the first week, and they're going to be out. So it's kind of like you got to ease into things, right? And so I call it kind of one of the things for me. I'm 63 and I still train every day. And but I train differently, but I call it the 80% rule. And that is that I always quit when I have 20% left in my tank, because every injury I've gotten almost is when I'm super fatigued. And so if I'm going to do anything fitness minded, when I'm fatigued, it's super safe exercises. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do anything that takes a lot of crazy footwork or anything like that. I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing something to where the risk of injury is minimized.
Yeah, that's an important message too, I think, sometimes. So Jeff was wondering, and you've probably talked about it, but I don't remember. So how how are you and Lance linked? Like, how did you guys get connected? So Lance
you
Farrell,
know,
the founder of Farrell. Yeah.
Yes. My good friend, Lance, I've known him for probably almost 30 years, maybe at least that long. And so, of course, you guys know Lance's background. He was a high level Taekwondo practitioner and almost almost made it on the Olympic team, really close. And so, before he was doing extreme body shaping, he ran a couple martial arts schools, and so that's where we crossed. We crossed at martial arts events. So we hooked up. Probably, we started kind of interacting in the early '90s, and trained a bunch together, and so that was where the connection was. And then I've probably been out to his place. First off, to work with his martial arts team several times, probably starting in like the early 2000s, maybe. And I think I've been to at least a couple of extreme body shaping, Lance Farrell's extreme body shaping events.
Yep, 2 that I've been to.
Yep.
I don't remember the years we were talking about that, how long ago that would have been, but at least 2. But that's crazy because we actually just had an owner of a martial arts studio on our show a couple weeks ago, and it's crazy because it's such a big network, but it seems so close knit. Like, you're out in California. Have you been in California your whole career?
I mean, my whole professional career. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. But then you're still connected to the Midwest, and so that's kind of cool to see how it's still.
So was it Chip? Was it Chip?
Yes.
So we did talk to Chip. Yes, we talked to Chip.
Yeah, he's like a super close friend of mine. Yeah, we talk all the time. He's amazing.
Yeah, well,
guy.
so when we had Chip on the show, we talked about you too a little bit. So and then I was like, we got to get Dave on here too. So I really appreciate you joining us. Did you have something? Jeff? Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, so this last extravaganza is where I met Chip Townsend. Nicole wasn't able to go because when Nicole saw you, we owned one location in Des Moines. In 2018, we moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, and now we own 2 locations. So for both of us to get away for 3 or 4 days in the middle of a week is just like next to impossible. So I went to this last extravaganza, and Chip Townsend was the guest speaker the first day that we were there. And he, we had to break boards and stuff. And I told Chip this story, but we all had boards at a table and we were writing all this stuff on them. And then he's like, all right, everybody stand up and grab your board. And then people were breaking. I was like, is he going to make me do this? And I was legitimately nervous and scared that I've never done anything like this. And then people are lining up and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was still nervous. And then I get up to the front and Lance Farrell's holding my board.
No
so
pressure.
I'm like, okay, yeah. So that's how I met him, and it was really good. So yes, that's we had him on probably a couple months ago and stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, the whole process, board breaking is really a very unique process, and anybody that's never done it, they feel, is there a trick to it? No, there's no trick. You break with the grain. It's usually pine, and you break with the grain, and it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's realistic, and it's such a good example of what your focus is. Like, I've probably broken, I don't know, close to 1,000 boards and stuff in my life, but the board that I'm holding doesn't know that. It needs my undivided attention, and it's such a good metaphor for it doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It's like what are you going to do today? But I got a real quick Chip Townsend story. So he comes out to my school, and this is when Facebook was first starting to do live stuff. So I think this was 2016 or 17 when they were first doing Facebook Live, and one of the things that he's, of course, you probably know this, he's famous for is bat breaking, and he's like a 14-time. He's literally the best breaker that's ever lived on the planet. He's won everything a million times, and I've never broken a bat. That's kind of considered the pinnacle of breaking, because it's more mental than anything else. You're kicking with a shin, this very skinny but very powerful stick. It's pretty scary. And so he comes out for a weekend event and at our school, and he pulls me aside and he goes, hey Dave, what do you say you break a bat? And I'd never talked about it before. Because I always wanted to do it, but I never wanted to commit to it because it scared the tar out of me. So now I'm faced with this, what am I going to say? No, anyway. So, it was when, like we said, Facebook Live was brand new, and fortunately I was successful, but it was very intense. So it reminded me of the feeling of Jeff, like the first time you broke a board when you've never done this before. And, that's what it's all about. It's about facing your fear, right? It's taking a breath and going, all right, man, I'm giving it everything. And so it's such a great lesson.
It's a great lesson for people starting a fitness journey too, because I think martial arts or people starting ferals and kickboxing, and if it just fitness kickboxing, it'd still be intimidating. Well, I've never done this before, and it's like you kind of just have to take the first step. Like you probably never would have broken a bat if he hadn't asked you to do it, like if he hadn't made you kind of step out of that comfort zone. So I think it's so important for everybody. Like, Jeff breaking that board, doing something he's never done before, it puts him in the mindset again of someone starting their fitness
100%.
journey and being like super scared and unsure. And you just kind of have to trust the process, put your trust in the people telling you that you can do it, and then just do it and see what happens. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Now, what's the worst that could happen with you breaking a bat? I mean, that's probably a little worst case scenario. But I don't think Chip would be asking Jeff.
No, exactly. It's like, it's realistic. You've seen it done before. It's not a piece of plywood.
He knew you had the skills and the, expertise to do it. So I think that's part of what we do too with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we go to our first break, if you and Lance Farrell were in have you seen The Karate Kid?
Let me think. What is it? Is there a movie called Karate Kid?
Is there a karate
Cobra
movie
Kai.
that's really famous?
So if you and Lance Farrell were in the All Valley over 60 karate tournament and you were facing each other,
that's not even a fair question. You know that. So we both have very strong opinions of our skills. Let me leave it at that. How's that?
I feel, that's true. It would be a draw, right?
Well, Lance is a big, strong, athletic guy. Anyway.
He's a lot taller than you, I feel like, in my memory.
He is.
Yes, yeah. He does have a height advantage, I feel like.
But you can ask Mr. Farrell that very same question.
We will. We'll see if he's as diplomatic as you were in his answer.
All right. Well, we're gonna take our first break here with Dave Kovar. We'll be back. We're gonna talk a little NFL football.
Yes.
Next.
Our famous football segment.
So stay with us on 93.7 The Ticket.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Ticket Water Cooler with Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
With Tony White and his 3-3-5 system that he's going to bring to Nebraska, do you think that's a fit in the Big Ten?
It does seem like a type of defense that allows for a lot of different formations at the point of attack. It's not that they're only going to have 3 down linemen, it's that it allows for pressure to come from a lot of different spots. In terms of, rushing the passer, which is something that Nebraska has kind of been lacking in.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.3333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 and 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
All I'm saying is there's a process that has to happen. And I don't know that in year one is when you need to be worrying about how many games you need to get to satisfy the fan base. I don't think that should be part of the equation in year one. I think what we should be interested in on the outside is that he lays a solid foundation that enables the program to grow from there.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back for a quick segment here. We're joined by Dave Kovar, who's out in California. Now, Dave, I'm assuming it's not 30 degrees out there today?
No, we've had rain for a few days, but it's, high 40s.
It's not 30 degrees
Summertime
here.
weather for you guys.
It's colder here.
Where at in California are you from?
I'm in Sacramento, Northern California.
Oh, okay. All right. So we like to do a segment with our guests because we are on a sports station. So we like to talk a little bit of sports. Favorite NFL team and how you became a fan of that NFL
Which
team.
Jeff strategically did not tell me who your team was until probably about 9:30. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. So I'm a Packers fan.
Are you?
Jeff
I'm sorry to
Bears.
hear that. I
Jeff's
really
a
am sorry
Bears
to hear
fan.
that.
Yeah. So now knowing that you've been in California, so let's do the big reveal. Who's your
All
favorite
right.
football
Minnesota
team?
Why?
Why?
Well, my family's from Montana, and my mom and dad both. I was from Montana. My mom and dad both were born and raised in the Twin Cities, and my dad in Minneapolis, and my mom in St. Paul. And we used to go out there every summer to visit grandma and grandpa and cousins. And there was if you live in Montana, there's no football team anywhere close. So I adopted the Vikings. And this is back when I started, when Fran Tarkenton was a quarterback, and then later on you had the Purple People Eaters, and it was just a great time. And of course I think they've got like the most winning percentage of teams that have never been to that never won the Super Bowl, or they've been a bunch of times. And I have no idea. That's just always been my team. Plus, my heritage is Scandinavian, so Vikings, so there you go. That's it.
I'll allow that one. I mean, I had family in Texas, and we went down and visited them every year, and I didn't become a Cowboys fan. So I don't know. And I guess if you're in California, I feel like the California football teams change so much. Like you can't even really get that,
Well,
That
my wife
connection.
is a diehard Raiders fan, even though they've moved, a bunch of
Right.
times. They were in Oakland and then in LA and then back to Oakland and now Las Vegas. And interesting, on her 30th birthday, this is going back a while. I surprised her. We hopped on my little red Miata. This was not, and when they first came out, and we drove down to LA to watching the Coliseum down there, and that was the most. Anyway, they won, but that was the most stressful day. There was. It was the last day they allowed the Coliseum allowed beer past halftime. I'd never seen so much action in the stands as that game ever.
Oh my
And
gosh!
We got back to try to leave after the game, and they got a bunch of guys had taken the Miata and stuck it in a corner somewhere, and so we literally took us about an hour of doing this to get out of where they put it. And anyway, so. But so that and 49ers are fine. I'm kind of neutral with that. It seems like that's of course what most of the people around here, that's their team.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Vikings are my guys.
Yeah, we just always like to. It's always a funny story or a good story. Yours is just family, which is fine.
Well, and our son is.
You're allowing me to be it's nice of you to
I know.
okay my team.
I won't hold it against you.
That's why I didn't tell her until you were getting ready to come on. Like I knew yesterday, but I didn't say anything.
No, I joke. I say that so jokingly because I actually don't. I'm a Packers fan, but I don't like to watch the Packers play because it stresses me out. So I just follow along. So I'm not.
What's interesting about sports in the United States versus other places, let's look at like soccer, or what they would call football, and like Europe, how we can banter back and forth about our teams in a friendly environment. We could even actually go to the game together and watch, even though that we didn't, but man, in the UK and, anywhere over Europe, I've been over there a bunch of times, those are fighting words. Like literally they do not get along. One time, true story. I'm over there doing some seminars. I'm in I believe in Manchester, and I get dropped off after my seminar. It's like 10:30 or 11 at night, and the hotel that I'm staying at has a pub in it, and Manchester United just got done playing like Liverpool or something, right? And and the game's just getting out, and I'm about ready to get on this elevator with a bunch of guys that are wearing Manchester United paraphernalia, and they look at me, and I have nothing on, which clearly means I must be a Liverpool guy. That's what they're thinking, right? And all of a sudden, we're having words in the lobby, going on the elevator, like it was the most bizarre experience. It's like,
which is also funny because they had no idea who they were actually messing with at the time. Trying to give you a hard time.
Well, not to shift this to a self-defense seminar, but one of the rules that I teach is trust your intuition. And so the elevator doors open. These guys are all going to get on there, and they when I say we had words, I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And somebody said hurled some minor insult to me, and his buddies laugh. And then my chest puffs out. I'm thinking, what the heck, man? What's this? And then it's like the fragile male ego thing, right? And all of a sudden, the elevator doors open, and everybody's getting on there. And I'm gonna get on this elevator. I'm not afraid of these guys. And then I think, in nature, what animal would get into a soundproof steel cage with some potential predators? You know what I'm saying? So I just let the doors go, and I get on the next elevator.
Certainly being outnumbered.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I didn't realize that it was that cutthroat.
There's a few fan bases that, for me, that I don't.
You don't want to fraternize with.
I would treat like soccer fans.
Okay.
That I don't mess with.
Who? Packers?
Iowa fans.
Oh well, yeah. I thought
Texas
you meant
fans.
You're talking about college football, but I'm talking about NFL.
Yeah, NFL. I know. And two. I guess if your team's bad, like the Bears,
true.
You don't really. The Packers are the Bears' rival, but since I've been knowing what's going on in football, it's not been a rivalry.
It's not the 86 team, right? Or the 85 team anymore, right?
I see the Bears have won the most games of all time, and I'm like, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Not my lifetime, that's for sure.
Most fan bases, you have something that you can hold on to. But
I
like the Packers, we might be coming out of that right now. We'll see.
Well, that's what's interesting about the Raiders. The Raiders fans are, in my opinion, they're just diehard, most serious fans, regardless of their win-loss record. It's like,
yep, yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta, love your team through the good and the bad.
You pick a team when you're 6, and then they spend the rest of your life just making you miserable,
breaking your heart.
Our son is a big Ravens fan. So his favorite color is purple. But he knew that with his mom being a Packers fan and his dad being a Bears fan, he couldn't be a Vikings fan.
He's a good kid, we'll say.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
He could have.
He could have,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So he started liking the Ravens because of the color purple.
Yeah.
And then also a Fortnite game or something with
Yeah.
the bird. And I mean, but that's how he became a fan. Now it's like life and death for him.
He's stressed
So
today.
they play the Steelers today, and he's just so stressed out about it. Like, because that's the big rivalry, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. And I was telling him 10, 15 years ago when Ray Lewis was playing and Troy Polamalu. And I mean, those Ravens Steelers games were just so physical. Like you knew you're going to get knocked in the mouth. And I don't know if they could be as physical today as they used to be back in those Ravens and Steelers games of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They'd probably be a lot of penalties thrown as hard as they hit
That's
back
true.
then. So yeah,
that is true.
Those were games that were like must watch as just an NFL fan. Like, oh, you were ready for Steelers Ravens because you knew it was awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Well, we are up against a break.
Yep.
So we're going to get to why you're really on here at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So Nicole has a bunch of notes.
I don't.
and
I have one note. I have one.
All right.
Well, that's
Okay,
more notes
but-
than we normally have.
I have one.
All
But
right.
Well, I'm
know
never at a loss for words, so it'll be, I'm sure, good.
I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back. Motivation, dedication coming up here at the top of the hour with Dave Kovar on 93.7 The Ticket.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
All I'm saying is there's a process that has to happen, and I don't know that in year one is when you need to be worrying about how many games you need to get to satisfy the fan base. I don't think that should be part of the equation in year one. I think what we should be interested in on the outside is that he lays a solid foundation that enables the program to grow from there.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa,
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
President Kennedy called on Americans to ask not what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country. We Nebraskans have always defined ourselves by our strong desire to help others. This holiday season, Serve Nebraska encourages Nebraskans to share their time and resources to offer a helping hand to those in need. Because this is what Nebraskans do. Nebraskans volunteer. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Ticket Water Cooler with Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
With Tony White and his 3-3-5 system that he's going to bring to Nebraska, do you think that's a fit in the Big Ten?
It does seem like a type of defense that allows for a lot of different formations at the point of attack. It's not that they're only going to have 3 down linemen, it's that it allows for pressure to come from a lot of different spots. In terms of, rushing the passer, which is something that Nebraska has kind of been lacking in.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Fitness Fanatics. We're joined by Dave Kovar. He is out in Sacramento, California. Got up early this morning, but like I said that at the beginning, and Nicole's probably like, he probably got up before we did. Are you an early riser?
I am an early riser. I'm at the gym at 5. If I was in your program, I'd be at the 5 a.m. class.
Well, we have a 4 a.m. class.
Yes.
Oh, I probably wouldn't be at that one.
So,
I got to draw a line somewhere.
If we had a 3 a.m. class, people would probably
someone would show
up to work out at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So
now,
4 is where the line.
But with the 3 a.m. class, is it at the end of the day or the beginning of the day?
Right.
You know, are they leaving the clubs and showing up to work out, or are they getting up super early?
No. That's part of the reason why we would never entertain a 3 a.m. class.
Well, our new gym, our new location is kind of right by a bar. So
yeah,
I mean, some people might just roll on in
maybe.
and work out. Maybe
I don't know. But
all right. Well, I'm gonna turn this segment over to you.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Okay. So I wanted to tell you my story because I'm sure you like hearing about this stuff, and I think about it still a lot. And I don't remember the whole. I think it was the one where you got your bag. So that one, I think that was the second time. Was that the second time you came to an extravagant or a corporate event? I feel like for Farrell's.
So what was the story?
Backpack. So the one where you got the bag.
Yeah, I got my bag. That was the last time I went.
Yes. So
my bag time.
Yeah, so it was at that one, and you were talking about, I'm sure it's about being grateful or something, and you were talking about how when you open up your studio or you go into one of your gyms and you put your key in the door and you turn the lock and you are thankful and grateful. So if you remember, kind of tell that story because that sticks with me. I think about that at least once a week when I'm unlocking the door. I think about that story. So if you want to go expand on that.
There's a very famous martial artist. If in the martial arts world, everybody knows of a guy named Benny Urquidez, Benny the Jet Urquidez, and he was one of the first American kickboxers and just champions. Just an amazing martial artist and a really amazing guy. And he basically spent after he retired, he's been in a ton of movies. He's fought Jackie Chan in movies before and Jet Li and whatnot. And but super good guy and very deep. And he one time he was one of my other friends, a guy named Firebores, who lives in Southern California, runs a martial arts school, found out that Sensei Benny the Jet was not teaching anywhere. And he heard this and he knew him and he asked him, "Hey, Sensei, would you teach at my school?" And proceeded telling Benny how rough business is and how hard it is to be successful. And, he's doing his best, and so Benny the Jet goes, "Time out." He goes, "Here's what you got to do. I'll consider coming to your school and teaching, but this is what you got to do. For the next week, when you show up to your school, you got to put the key in the door. And before you open the door, you got to take a breath and you got to think, wow, I remember the first time I was ever got the lease on this, how excited I was. And then after you spend a second remembering that, walk through your school like it's the first time and remember all the memories and how appreciative you were when it first happened. And if you do that every day for a week, call me back and let me know how you feel. And I'll consider it." And of course, Farbors calls me after a week saying, "Man, I did this and I can't believe how it changed me." And so I've been doing that ritual ever since. And so it used to be, I have this, our headquarters school, we have a chain of schools in Sacramento. Our headquarters school is a very large building. It's about almost 14,000 square feet. It's 2 stories and it's where we have a martial arts school and also our corporate office is up above. And before this, I would open up the key, go upstairs and do my thing. And now what I do is I walk through that building and I take it in and I remember all the amazing memories and especially the feeling I had when we first, because it's also, I own the building, right? When we first bought that building and how amazing it felt. And what happens when I do that, it just puts the whole day in perspective. It's like all of a sudden that's the challenges that are inevitably going to come are just easier to deal with.
Yeah, I really like that message. And I think when Chip was on, we kind of talked about that too, and how that can translate to everyone's individual fitness journey too, about, the newness wears off of anything.
Yes.
Owning a business, the newness wears off. Starting a fitness program, the newness wears everything, so that story is so applicable to anybody who owns a business, a restaurant, anything. But it's also so important for people who are walking into the gym and you kind of take that for granted. You take your ability to just do that for granted. And then you can think back to the first day you walked in for your workout and didn't know anything or,
So you see it, you see people that are maybe not as far along as they want to be, but you have to remind them, hey, you lost 40 pounds, you lost X number of, pounds in body fat. And it's like, oh yeah, sometimes we forget how much progress we've done. And this is really important is that we kind of, whenever we can, you take someone down memory lane so they can see the progress they made. Because when you can see the progress you've made already, that gives you more power for the future, right?
Yep.
And then of course, just the ability to be maintaining is gaining, and what I mean by that is just continuing to show up, because how do you stay? You don't get motivated. Motivation follows action. You get into a routine, and with that routine, then you're more likely to stick it out than if you're hit and miss.
Yeah. Yep. I know. And that's the really hard part for us, as fitness owners, and for you too. You see that, people come in and their eyes are sparkling and everything is incredible and amazing. And they, and then things start chipping away, life chips away, our expectations aren't managed properly. So what kind of advice do you give people when
I think
they
the
hit
first
that
thing,
wall?
Yeah, I think the first thing is one of the things we talk a lot about is what we call the mastery mindsets. And it's a way of looking at the life. And let me just kind of back up a little bit and share a story with you. So years ago, I had this student, her name was Terry Poxon, and Terry trained with me for 20 years. And about 10 years into her training, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And
I remember the story.
Yes,
when
and
you said that. Yeah.
Yes, and she continued to train with me for 10 years after that. And as she did, her body deteriorated, but her spirit was just super strong. And one time, about 5 years into her diagnosis, she was sitting down after class, and we had a super hard workout, and she was having a hard time moving. And I felt, man, I wanted to do something to help. I didn't know what to do. And I went up to her and I said, hey, Terry, is there anything you do to make it better? And she responded with one of the most profound things I've ever heard. She looked at me and she said, Dave, I know I can make it better because I can make it worse. Right. And with the concept of, you can't just, can you get in worse shape? You know that. Can you make your health worse? Then you can't just have it one way. If you can make something worse by default, you can make it better. Right. And so it's so, but the reason why we view things a certain way, because we all have a series of mindsets or beliefs about how the world works and how we work in it. And they're based on the experiences we have or the education we receive, or the environment we're raised in. And some of our experiences are powerful and serve us well, and others not so much. So let's imagine you're in third grade and you're transferred to a new school. And the very first day of school, during recess, you're asked to run a foot race with 2 other kids. And unbeknownst to you, they're the 2 slowest kids in third grade, and you end up coming in first place easily. Your perception of how fast you are as a runner is completely different now for the rest of your life than if you've been paired off with 2 of the fastest kids and you came in third place, right?
Yeah.
So these are the kind of perceptions that shape the trajectory of our life, but they're not always based in reality. Like, for example, when my mom was in first grade, she was told, stand in the back of the choir and don't sing too loud. You don't have a very good voice. And she actually has a pretty good voice, but she never sang at all growing up until dementia took her inhibitions away the last couple of years of her life. And she sang all the time. And here's the deal. She had a pretty good voice, but she missed out on 87 years of singing because of something someone told her one time. Now I share this story. I promise this is going somewhere with fitness. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So the first thing that we have to do, so the mindsets, the very first one is I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. And what this is so we can decide how we want to view things. Well, it just takes a conscious effort to kind of kickstart it, right? And so the first thing that I really try to share people coming into our program is that if you want to be good for the people in your world, you got to be you got to take care of yourself. There's a quote that goes like this: those who have their health have 1,000 goals, those that don't have but one. Right. And, when you're stressed out, sick, injured, angry, you're not as good for you. I don't know about, I'm not as good of a boss or a husband or a father or a training partner when I'm not feeling good about myself. And so it starts with the programming, helping people see the mindset of how being healthy and fit is so good for the people in their world. Because a lot of times I might not do it for myself, especially we see this more probably with moms than dads, right? They put themselves way back. I don't have time. I got all these commitments. And they realize if they take care of themselves, they're going to be a better mom. They're going to be they're going to be better for everyone else. So I think that's a super important perspective to help people kind of get their head around.
Yeah, that's really important because, well, just in the last week, we've had a lot going on. So we ended a session, we ended like a fit challenge. We ended the session. We had a party. We're moving gyms. We have a lot going on. And Jeff does not handle stress very well. So the past 2 days have been very trying.
Spoken as only a wife can say.
I know, but it's true. And everybody knows it. So there's been a couple times where Jeff literally cannot remember. He couldn't remember who our guest was last week, and it was his friend. He couldn't remember. And
she is throwing you under the bus, man.
No,
okay.
It's fine. We've been married for 24 years.
Almost 25
yeah,
years. So
yeah.
People who listen to the show expect this to happen.
Yeah. This is not me being mean. I'm telling the truth. I'm sorry. I can't.
It is true.
Right. I know, see?
But I can remember who the starting quarterback was in a football game 30 years ago, but I couldn't remember who was on our show 5 days previous.
But my point is not just to give you a hard time. When you were saying that, Dave, it made me think, wow, I can't imagine how you would handle stress now. If you didn't have the outlet of exercise also,
right.
you're for you, some people don't handle stress very well. And we've had a lot and just a lot going on, which is stressful.
Good stress.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's true because it's you still need that outlet. Sometimes you need I tell our members whenever they're proud of themselves or when family members or people question why they're so dedicated to what they're doing, and I'm sometimes you just need your outside to match your inside. You're mentally exhausted. You kind of need to become physically exhausted to balance that out. And I think that that's really important.
Well, it's one of the things about stress that, stress is inherently neither good or bad. It just is, right? It's kind of how we look at things. And this has to do with mindset. So I want you for just a second to imagine, depending on who you talk to, like Charles Darwin claimed that there was 34 emotions. Some studies say there's 7 core emotions. A recent study by Cal Berkeley identified 24 different emotions. I share this with you because however many there are, you can break them into 4 categories. So general categories. Number 1, let's imagine emotions that are fused with energy, like high energy emotions and low energy emotions, and positive and negative. So let's imagine for a minute, energy fueled from fueled from negative emotion. What do you think of? High charged negative emotion. Give me a word.
Football.
Okay, no, I'm talking specifically like
anger.
Anger. There we go. Anger, jealousy,
frustration.
Rage.
Yeah.
Yes, frustration. You got that. So that's energy charged from negative emotion. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's think about low energy, negative emotion. Give me a definition. Give me a word.
Like exhaustion.
Depressed, bored,
right, yeah.
lethargic. Yeah. Okay. Now let's think energy fused from positive emotion with
encouragement.
Encouragement.
Right.
Excited, enthusiastic. What about a low positive?
Rested,
serene, calm, meditative. Here's my point on this is that what's important is to understand is that, by the way, we've all been angry and use that anger to get some work done. You guys know what I'm saying? But high negative is not where you want to live your life. And the secret to high performance is energy fueled from positive emotion. What that means is when you're in that, when you have mental clarity, physical energy, and emotional calm, it's kind of being in flow state or zone or something like that. I share this with you because sometimes what happens is if we don't consciously, what goes up must come down. And if I want to be enthusiastic, if I want to perform at a high level, then I have to take low positive. In other words, I have to make sure that I'm doing something calm and quiet. That'll help me stay on that side, so to speak. But I share this because, Jeff, what I was going to refer to when it comes to stress is effort plus negative emotion equals struggle and stress. Okay. Effort connected with positive emotion is we call the word satori. It made that it's flow state. And so the key is sometimes it's never this easy, but it starts with just kind of take a breath and remind yourself what you're appreciative and excited about, and then take all that energy and channel it that way. And all of a sudden you're generally more productive and you have funner doing it too. And you're funner to be around.
It reminds me of that. And I don't know, but Jeff, maybe you know where it comes from, but Jeff's dad used to say this to Jeff a lot, or in sales or whatever, about being a thermostat, not a thermometer.
You say that.
Yeah,
all
but
the time.
I say it because you need to hear it, but I don't remember where it came from. Like, do you know what it was? In a book?
Well, my dad was a
thermometer for sure. Yes.
I don't know if he would tell me that.
He would, because he would expect other people. Right.
He was a thermometer.
He wouldn't put it
He was
on
not
himself.
The thermostat.
But that's true though, because a thermostat controls the environment, where a thermometer just has nowhere to go, but like to be controlled by their environment. Like, so if you're in a hot environment, you're just getting hotter. So being a thermostat, not a thermometer. I think that's a good kind of way to think about it too. When I say that, I try not to say that to you anymore because it doesn't work. It just makes you mad.
Then I go from a thermostat to a thermometer.
You go to a thermometer breaking open to the top, like,
oh,
that's not
like
good.
a volcano.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good. So we do still have a little bit of time, but I wanted to, Jeff, you're always really good about this. If we have anybody that has any questions or wants to text in, just any struggles that they might be having, maybe get a little bit different perspective.
Yeah, you could text us on the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5. 402. See, this is me. I'm just
usually you're really good at
402-464-5685.
Or text in.
Or you can message us. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can message us on there as well as we go along.
And then I was looking at Dave. This is the one note that I made, because I knew we were going to be able to have lots of things to talk about. But my one note was you have a blog, and one of your blog posts is titled "You Don't Have to Mow the Lawn."
Right.
I use this a lot for dishes, actually, when I'm talking to people. Even though I don't do dishes, Jeff does, but generally. But do you want to kind of share kind of what that?
Yeah, absolutely. It really it really sums up the concept of self-discipline. So it's 1970. My family just moved from Montana to California. Summer of 5th grade, I get a new chore, and that's mowing the lawn. And I'm getting allowance for it. And we had a pretty big lawn, and it was pretty cool, man. The first time I did it, I loved it. I had such a good time. And the second time, it was not as much fun. And by about the 8th time, now here it is. It's the end of summer, and I'm done. I didn't want to do this anymore. And I go up to my father, and I think it's going to be that easy, right? Like he's going to let me off the hook or something. I go up to my father. I go, Dad, I don't want to mow the lawn anymore. And he looked at me and he said, son, you don't have to want to mow the lawn anymore. You just have to mow it. And it was like this, just so precious, that really sums up self-discipline, right? You know what I mean? It's like you're doing what you don't want to do. And you know what I think is interesting? How many of you guys have ever heard a little kid say, "You're not the boss of me"? Right? We've heard that line before at some time or another. But what's interesting is I'd like to think I'm the boss of me, right? But here's the deal: if I give in to that voice in my head that says I don't want to, I'm a little tired, or I got a hangnail, I don't want to work out today because then guess what? I'm not the boss of me. I'm giving into my I don't want to, and I don't feel like it's right. And so I think what's really important with the concept of you don't have to want to mow the lawn is what you should do and what you are doing and what you want to do are sometimes different, right? In other words, you want to do this, but you should do this. And the key thing, sometimes they line up. Okay. Sometimes what you want to do, what you should do, and you are doing all match up. But a lot of times what you want to do and what you should do are different. And the key thing is to always, do what you should do, so to speak, right? And I think that the emphasis on this and the reason why people are not successful initially is they set themselves up for failure by demanding too much too soon. You know what I'm saying? So what you want to do is kind of ease into the habits. And then over time, all of a sudden you're living a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah, well, and because the funny thing is, we talk about this with our son too. At that time, that's the only thing that you had to do that you didn't want to do. So it's like it was such a powerful thing for you to learn at that age because you only have more things that you have to do that you don't want to do as you get older. So I think that's kind of important. And
we kind of use the same reference as our members will say, well. And you probably hear this too. I'm not motivated to come to the gym today. Well, you're not motivated to do the dishes, to do the laundry, to
go to work.
You do it because you have to, right? You have to do the laundry
because it's a priority,
right? Yeah. Well, it's not even you just have to do it.
Well, you don't have to.
Oh, yes, you don't have to do. You don't have to ever do your dishes. Or ever do your laundry.
Well,
at some point, buying new clothes.
Okay, but you can do the laundry you have this giant pile of laundry and I can do one load of laundry to get me through for 2 days. Yes. You know what I mean? Or you stay up on it and then it's easier to do.
Wash a fork and a plate and then just keep using
Well, it's true. You could.
But you're not...
It's like when you do the dishes, but then you don't clean anything up else around it.
Well, that's true.
So you don't have to. It's just, that's different. That's your effort.
You're not motivated.
Oh, 100%. No, that is true.
But you do it because you have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not motivated to go to work, but you go to work because you. Yeah. Well, then you could say, well, you don't have to. You could just get fired, right?
You could.
No, you go because you have to.
You could.
Yes.
That's
and your
different.
body's the same way.
Yeah.
So the key is to be doing it long enough to where you instinctively and you see it in your customers is that once they get in the habit, then it becomes a lot easier. So it's really, self-discipline helps you develop the habit. Once you have it, then it doesn't take as much self-discipline. It's just a matter of being consistent.
That's true. I know. As much as people lean on motivation, I don't like that word. And I think anything that you're going to say about motivation, you need to replace that with discipline. It's just that it's so important. Like you said, that habit is what is going to keep you going. Once it becomes a habit, you're not going to get tripped up about little things that might happen where again, like I said, your expectations aren't aligned with what you're doing, but it's still a habit. And then you get out of that habit and you realize, wow, once you're out of it, and you remember being able to run up a flight of stairs and feel great. And then you start to get out of that habit and you're going up the stairs and you're getting out of breath and you're like, wow, what's going on? Well, it's because you got out of your habit of taking care of yourself. But then it's kind of like now you're at the bottom looking up and like, oh, I don't know if I can do this again. I think that kind of keeps people from their goals sometimes. But yeah. So what do you say? What's your advice for someone who maybe has unrealistic expectations, Dave?
You know,
what
set yourself here's an example, you know, like if let's just say I haven't worked out in years, okay, and I need to start working out. And one of the things that you want to do is set yourself up for success by setting realistic goals. And what does that mean? Like, for example, I'm sure you see people that normally get up at 7 and they say they're going to make the 5 a.m. class, and it's hard to do that. That's a whole new habit. So they'd be better off making a class that fits into their schedule, so to speak, and then they can eventually get there. But let's imagine that I haven't worked out in years, and I said I'm going to make the 5 a.m. class. There's a good chance that I might make it the first 2 or 3 days, then it's going to get really hard because I haven't. It's too extreme of a difference, you know. But if I get up, I decide, all right, man, I'm going to get up 10 minutes early. I'm going to walk around the block twice, and I'm going to commit to doing that for a week, right? And and then over time, what happens is that you've developed this habit, and then it becomes easier to stick out. But I think it goes back to when I was talking earlier about it. I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. Is that to try to link the importance of how their fitness, their health, and their fitness has such an effect on their family. And now I'm not just doing it for me. I'm visualizing. I want to be there for my kids when I'm older, and all of a sudden that adds a little extra incentive for me to be consistent, or to start making it habit. And once it's habit, then of course it's just a matter of guarding the habits. Because here's the interesting thing with time, good habits are your ally over time. Okay, bad habits over time are your enemy. So it's a matter of what can I do today that's going to make me my future self is going to appreciate.
Yeah, that's really hard. I think that's really a good message for people right now who are like even starting our session at the end of in January, where like, what can you do now? Like, maybe you are a January New Year's resolution person, but if you do want to be that early riser, maybe now is the time you start, like you said, getting up 10 minutes earlier. You
guys probably know this better than me, but you know that most people gain their weight between Halloween and New Year's, right? That's when it happens. And so let's just say I'm slowly over time, I'm gaining it was the average adult gains 2 pounds a year, something like that. And so if I can just start the first of the year off at the same weight I was in October, I'm good, right? And so I think what some people do is they just go, oh, what the heck? I'll worry about it after the first year. Where's that cheesecake? And if you can just my kind of thing with it is, if you like cheesecake, okay, have it, but just have it in smaller portions less often, on your treat day or whatever, to where you don't have to deprive yourself. It's just a matter of setting your priorities correctly, So I know a lot of people go, oh, I just love chocolate cake. It's okay, great. But just have it less often in smaller portions. Do I have time for a quick story?
Well, let's go ahead and go take a break, and then we'll pick up with that. Yes.
All right. Sounds good.
Time. So keep it in your brain.
All right.
All right. I got it.
Dave Cover on 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay. Playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity,
not to make friends, but just to get something to eat?
Or a retiree who fell ill and had to
choose between getting medicine or groceries?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
I wanted to quit for so long, but I didn't know where to start.
I was afraid of what people would think, but then I found the right support to start my recovery journey. 1 in 14 Americans reports experiencing a substance use disorder, a treatable medical condition. Treatment can take many forms, so there are a variety of options to explore and find the one that works best for you. Recovery from drug addiction is possible.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. We had left off. Dave was just getting ready to tell a story, so it was a perfect time to go to break. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dave, and you can start it back up.
You know, this is so embarrassing. I didn't write down where we're at. Back me up a little because I realized, I had this great story to share, and I don't remember what we were talking about. I know you told me.
We were talking about expectations.
Yes, expectations.
And having expectations that meet like your effort level and what you're doing, and that's kind of where we left off. You said you were going to keep it in your brain, so I did,
and then I got sidetracked. That's okay. So, what I wanted to share this story, about the importance of being able to really. First off, not just expectations, but really appreciate where you're at. Is that I had an interesting experience happen to me. So many times, we talked about this earlier about how some people they've made progress, but they want more and they're not happy with where they're at, right? So I was right when COVID first hit. You guys remember mid-March 2020? We'll all remember it forever, right?
Yep.
Well, the end of February, I was going on I had a 3-week seminar tour. I started in Australia, went from there to New Zealand, and then from there to the UK. And I had about 17 seminars over 23 days. And it was really interesting to see how things were progressing along the way. And then finally, I find myself, I've got about another 4 or 5 days left. It's March 14th, and I'm in Birmingham, UK, and my wife calls me on the phone and says, come home, they're about to close the borders. My business partner says, come home, they're about to close the borders. So I find myself at the airport in Birmingham on Sunday morning, March 15th, I think it was. And it's a very surreal environment, man. There's people with hazmat suits going around checking temperatures, and some of the gate agents are saying, no, the borders are closed, and some are saying it's open. It's very stressful, right? I've never experienced the mood that was going on in the airport. And anyway, so finally, I on the same plane is the same flight that I was on, there was a bunch of college students that had their semester abroad visas revoked. Okay. And they're talking and bantering back and forth when all of a sudden one of the girls realizes that she left her phone back at the food court. Okay. And by the way, they're about to board the plane. And so she starts to stress out, understandably so. His boyfriend says, I'll go get it. He takes off running. And in the meantime, they're getting ready to board the plane, and she is very apprehensive. Her friends are trying to calm her down, and she's doing her best to maintain her composure, but she's having a hard time with it. And right as they say, all right, group one, board, guess who comes running back, phone in hand, big smile on his face? Boyfriend.
The hero.
Yeah, the hero. And so they embrace, it's like like she was in a complete state of bliss, right? Now, the question I have for you, and understandably, you guys can identify with that situation. So, but here's the question I have. A half hour earlier, before she lost her phone, was she in a state of bliss because she had her phone, or did she just have her phone?
Yeah.
She just had her phone.
Yeah.
It took losing it and getting it back for her to appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the perspective is that's why I'm such a fan of making sure that I take time every day to kind of be appreciative of the progress I've made. Because what that happens, there's two ways to become wealthy. One is to acquire all you desire, and the other is to desire all you have, meaning appreciate what you have, right? And when you do that, and when it comes to fitness, right, when you appreciate the small gains that you've done, what that does, that you can take a little pride. Yes, I still have a little body fat. Yes, I still need to get my run time down, or whatever it might be. However, when I appreciate where I've been, that allows me to go forward with more. First, I make it's more enjoyable, and also I'm gonna have a little more incentive to stay on track.
Yeah, that's really true, because we do. Jeff tells the story about when he was in sales. And, what Jeff's story is, he was 30 and I was a stay-at-home mom, and he was an on-the-road salesman, and he was denied life insurance because he didn't take care of himself. His kidneys and liver were not functioning properly because he
at 30.
At 30.
At 30. Yeah. And that's kind of what he says, like, your health problems really don't care, your health, diabetes, poor liver, kidney function, it doesn't care about what you have going on every day and what you're, what I mean? So it's like, that was his turning point of being like, I need to be, in better shape just to be able to provide for my family. So that was kind of, but sometimes it's hard if you don't have that realization, so it's like, that's really tough to kind of keep people motivated.
It's so cool that you turned it around, and it's such a great example. But I have a mantra that when I'm tempted to cheat on something. I'm at a party and it's not my junk day or whatever it is. It's being healthy and fit feels better than that tastes. And so often what people do is they give in. I deserve it. I've been working out hard. It's been a long day. Yeah. And what happens is that then you're always going to lose out. But if you change your perspective towards that stuff, like I remember bumping into a martial arts friend of mine who's a really talented guy, has not kept very good care of himself. He never has. He's kind of a fun-loving party guy, and now he's not moving much. His days are pretty much past. And I saw him last summer, and he goes, "Hey, Kovar, it looks like you're still into that fitness stuff, man. And because I'm pretty clean with what I eat as well." And I go, "Well, yeah, man." He goes, "Well, not me. I'm gonna use this body, and I'm gonna enjoy it, until the wheels fall off." Right. Well, I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, doesn't look like you're enjoying it too much right now, buddy. In other words, you don't pay the price, you reap the benefits. And so like what you did, Jeff, I don't have to tell you, because you're like a different person now. You understand the importance of treating this body as a temple and how you're better for everyone else. And it's like it's a hard thing to get across. Like, everybody in your city should be training with you guys, because what you do is so impactful and so life changing. The only thing we can do is what be as many places as possible to have conversations. And when people are interested, to step in. But here's what to talk to them. But here's what I would remind you all, and what I remind myself about. Have you ever had anybody, like I'm going to pick on Nicole for a minute. Have you had anybody that you had to encourage to get into the program? Okay. They didn't really want to, that after 10 weeks, they lost 40 pounds, and have ever they gone up to you and go, darn you, Nicole, I'm so mad at you for getting me involved. I've got all these great friends. I've lost weight. I'm in the best shape of my life. How dare you push me? No, they thank you. Right. And so what's important to understand is the human mind is easily influenced by anything spoken with conviction. And what's the most important that we can all do when we're out there talking about our programs is in our heart, believe in what we're doing. Yes, you guys run a business and you need members, there's no doubt about it. That's the nuts and bolts of it, but that's not why you guys are doing this. I can feel this. You're doing this because you believe in your program. And so that gives us the impetus to have that conversation with someone that we might go, I don't know if I want to bug them or not, but you know what? I know that in the back of your mind, if you're thinking, if I encourage this person that's on the fence to do this, they're going to thank me. They're going to thank me for this. And I owe it to my community to get out and talk to as many people as I possible, because I understand that I can transform their life.
Yeah, that's definitely a Jeff. Jeff is the cheerleader of the group.
Yeah, I just had a gal that we were doing a Black Friday sale, and we were texting that weekend. And I said, well, you have till Sunday to make a decision. Well, she never decided. So then probably Wednesday, sent her another text message. I was like, hey, just want to give you one more opportunity to take care of this. And she replied back. She's like, I wasn't going to do it, but you texting me is a sign that says, yes, I need to do this. So her and her partner signed up to do the 10-week challenge.
Yeah. So that's such a good example. And, now I'm going to switch gears and put on my business hat for a minute, and you guys know how many times have you had somebody that missed the first appointment that you had to text back and missed the second one? Well, about, 20 to 25 years ago, one of the guy that was running our program at one of our locations, a guy named Ken Gruby, he still works for me. He's like the Terminator, man. He never gives up on anybody. And there's this gal, her name was Gina. She DNS'd 6 times for her first class, 6 times. Now, what does Ken do? Every time calls back. Hey, when are you going to come back in? Finally, appointment number 7, she shows up. She ends up training with us for a decade. She ends up going to work for us for 3 years, and she met her husband and married her husband. The gentleman that she married came from class, and they end up moving away. They're doing great. Here's the point is that the reason why she said later on, the reason why I was so flaky is I had an addiction that I was able to break through training with you. And she also said, if it wasn't for training with you, I would be dead now. There's no doubt about it. And so what would have happened if Ken would not have picked up the phone on the 6th time? Right. And of course, we would have missed out on a paying, customer for 7 years, of course. Right. And a good employee for 3. But that's not the most important thing, is that we changed her life for the better because of it. And when you remember that, and when you lead with that, the conversation goes, you're more influential, because it's hard to be convincing if you're not convinced. And when you're convinced of the benefit of your program, it's easier for people to feel that.
Yeah. Yep. That's the thing that I like to tell our members, and I always say it jokingly, but whenever they're, I take all of our before pictures. So I see everybody at their very most vulnerable. They're worried about they don't know what they've gotten themselves into. And then they have to come in and take this before picture right after they've gotten on a scale and seen a number that maybe they've never seen before on this, how much they weigh, and they don't know. So I take all of those pictures. And so I've heard everything. I've heard every fear and apprehension and excuse. And so I always tell people that her addiction, that doesn't make her special. That makes her normal. And I think sometimes when you have that realization that you're not alone, I always say that does not make you special, but that's the way of saying you're not alone in this. We are going to be there with you. I would be shocked at this point, having been in this program for 16 years. I would be shocked if someone came in through the door and told me something that I've never heard, because we're all boiled down. We're all human, we all have a very similar human experience. So I think that's something that once people hear that, it's kind of something I say jokingly, but it's really a way of reassuring people that you can do this. You're not the first person that has had an addiction that is overcoming that and is going to come out the other side even stronger. So I like to
100%.
give that. Yeah, I like to kind of give that message to people too. And then sometimes it sticks with them in their head, like I'm saying it meanly. And then they jokingly say, I hear you say that in my head all the time when I'm trying to make an excuse. I'm like, well, good. I want you to hear my voice telling you that,
Well, we have made all the excuses.
Yeah, we have too,
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get to be 50% body fat and decline life insurance because I was a pillar of health.
Right.
I made excuses on what I didn't have time to prepare my meals, to pack my lunch. So I just stopped at the fast food gas station, and
that did not make you special.
No.
Right.
It didn't.
No. So I like to tell that story. So are we probably up against our last break here?
Yeah, we're gonna take the last break, and we'll finish up here with Dave Kovar on 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jake Sorensen here for The Body Shop. No, not for your car. The Body Shop is your go-to place for professional massages. My wife and I had a 60-minute deep tissue couples massage recently that was everything we could have asked for and more. Whether you're looking for a Swedish massage, sports massage, deep tissue, hot stone, aroma, or more, there's only one place to go. Plus, it's a great Christmas gift. The Body Shop at 48th and A. Book an appointment today at thebodyshoplincoln.com.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is how we do every day. We grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
the most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into our last segment. Hopefully our listeners have been learning something.
Jeff's fired up.
I told Nicole during the break, because, we get so many leads of people that are like, they reach out to us. They want more information. And I'm always like, you're reaching out to me.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll send them a text, an email. And then, you like,
I don't think you're ever more motivated than when you very first reach out for like information or to help,
But, we have so many, and we've been Farrell's owners for, it'll be 10 years in June that we've owned Farrell's Body Shaping. So, and we've had those people that have thanked me for like
being annoying,
not giving,
not being annoying, but
texting them multiple times. Like, well, John Morrell was one of them.
Yeah.
Like, he just, I reached out to him. He was supposed to come. He never showed up.
He showed up. He just never came in.
Sat in the parking lot.
Yep.
Then I was like, hey, let's go. Are you going to come in? So he finally comes in, and he actually has a son out of it.
Right.
So
lost 100 pounds.
He got married.
Yeah.
100 pounds.
Yeah.
He has a son. All because of I didn't give up on him to get him in the door.
Yeah.
It's so important, man. And that's the kind of things we have to remember, because that gives us the motivation to, the reminder to, stay on these leads, because you guys, what you're doing for the, good stuff. And the world needs more people doing what you're doing. And we just have to remember that makes that conversation easier.
Yep. Yeah.
Because like when I'm out there, when I text people and they just don't respond, it does kind of get like, why are you reaching out?
You take it a little personally.
Yeah, so
I know
it's it gets frustrating, but I stay on them, and I've had people that that I've texted a year ago, and then now they're finally doing Farrell's.
Yep. Sure.
That I've.
Because Jeff keeps like I don't know how your phone isn't just full of your text messages. Because sometimes you'll be like,
well,
this person, I've talked to them for like every single quarter for like 2 years. They're like, when does the next session start?
Every 10
and then they don't sign up. When is the next session?
Let's go.
Right.
This is the time. I know you couldn't do the last one. Let's get
so
into this one.
For our listeners, if you have ever reached out to Farrell's or any place and you've ghosted them, guess what? That does not make you special. You are not special. You are totally normal. And whoever you've reached out, they will be just as thrilled, if not more so, if you reach out to them again and again and again, and then finally show up. So that's the lesson. I think that's the takeaway. You're not special if you're apprehensive.
So
and
I'm
scared
not special either.
You're not.
You mean I'm not the only gym owner that people inquire and then they never get back to them?
I think you are.
Okay.
That's why we don't take it personally. Yes. So, all right. So, Dave, my last question here, this is usually our shortest segment. So the last question is, it's December. We're coming up on mid-December this week. What advice do you have for people who are thinking about like, okay, this is it. This is the year 2023. This is the year I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to be committed. I'm going to, start that health and fitness journey. What advice do you have besides the breaking up your small goals? That's great advice. What else would you say to someone?
A couple things I would say. I would say first and foremost, if that's really like, this year I'm going to do it, 23 is going to be my year, is that I would start by not trying to go too far backwards between now and January 1st. Enjoy the holidays. You enjoy the holidays, but if you can not overdo, right? That's going to make it easier, right? And number two is to do it for the right reasons. In other words, let me back up. So what I mean by the right reasons is you're doing it again for the people in your world, not just for you, but also a lot of times why people are not successful is they, in the back of their gut, in the back of their mind, they're going to commit to it. And you guys have seen this, especially after the first year. All these people make New Year's resolutions, and then they often don't stick it out, right? And part of that is because we forget how much we can accomplish. And I think if any one of our listeners can look back on their life and they can think of things that they doubted they're going to be able to do that they ended up being successful. And the key thing is for us to remember those. And there's probably other times where we fell short because we gave up. Let me give you, last summer, I'm a mountain biker, right? And I'm doing these really killer trails with a couple of my friends, and we start early in the morning. It's midday. We get done and we go down to this river. It's called the American River Confluence, where these two rivers come together. It's a really cool place to swim, and there's rocks you jump off. And one of my buddies goes, "Hey, Dave, when I was in high school, I used to pick up a big boulder, and and my friends and I would see if we could walk across the bottom of the lake, the river. There's kind of a deep spot, right? And it's about 20 feet apart across, and maybe it's 12 feet at the deepest. So being competitive, what do? I pick up this 40-pound boulder and I do my Wim Hof, my deep breathing, and I start going across the bottom, and I'm doing great, man. I got plenty of oxygen in my lungs, and all of a sudden this voice in my head goes, you can't do it. You can't do it. This is dangerous. And I'm thinking, I still had plenty of oxygen. I was fine, but I finally dropped the rock, and I thought I was going to have this long ways to go when I was 2 steps from coming out of the water, right? I'd given up. Now, we've all had stuff like that happen. And so the key thing is if we remember how close we were in the past, and we keep that top of mind, that sometimes can give me that incentive to keep going. So I guess my advice would be is to do it for the right reasons, and really set yourself up for success by telling as many people as you possibly can that you're going to commit to these 10 weeks, right? Because bottom line is, you don't see, if I go, hey, Jennifer, or hey, Barbara, don't tell anybody, but I'm thinking about quitting smoking, but don't tell anybody. Guess what? What am I really saying?
Yeah. Right. You don't want to be held accountable.
But when I tell everybody, like right now, guess what? I'm joining this extreme body shape, and I'm starting January 2nd, and I'm going to commit to this to 10 weeks. And you tell everybody, then what's more likely to happen is you're more likely to step into that challenge and be successful because of the commitment you made, both internally and externally.
I think that's even more true now in the last couple of years, because COVID sent us all back into our little shells. And so it made us very much more like wanting to peek in to everyone. What's everyone else doing? You couldn't get out and you couldn't see. So you want to kind of peek into the lives of other people. So I think even now more than ever, putting yourself out there to keep you accountable. Someone might be like, I don't know if I could do it, but they're going to watch your journey along to see if you can do it, then they can do it. So I think that's another reason to put yourself out there.
And then one other thing, absolutely. And one other thing would be is it's really important that you do the best you can to run your own race, right? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times is that we don't do something because we're comparing ourselves with other people. And Teddy Roosevelt said, comparison is a thief of joy. And the concept is that there's always going to be someone younger, fitter, or stronger, right? Just so like there's going to be someone slower, older, or weaker, right? So what we have to do is really try to get that out of our mind and just, run your own race, just do your own thing and maybe be inspired by other people, but don't compare yourself to other people because it's apples and oranges. They say if you were to be able to step into someone else's shoes and have their problems, you'd very quickly want your own shoes and problems back.
That's true. Yeah. So you have given us a lot of really great little nuggets of like wisdom and advice. Where can people get more of that from you? Because I know you kind of share some of that stuff.
Yeah, so I have a podcast. It's called The Satori Lifestyle. It's available wherever you can get podcasts, and I have a couple books you can get on Amazon. I think the one that would speak to this crowd is called Brief Moments of Clarity, and it's just kind of little minor things you can do to get yourself moving in the right direction, because it's about small tweaks. You know what I'm saying? It's just like little minor adjustments that can make an incredibly big difference over time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I knew it was going to be great. It was better than I expected. Came at perfect timing for our listeners. So I cannot thank you enough for coming on. Basically, just Google Dave Kovar and people can find all the ways to kind of get connected to you. But thank you very much appreciative of your time.
All right. My pleasure, guys. Good luck with the challenge, everybody.
Great. Thank you.